So officially welcome to Accounting for the Options, as we call it. Mark Mannering here from Class Training, and as some of you know, we provide training courses, tuition, consulting and so on, and we've got a lot to cover this morning, so hopefully this will give you a really quick aspect. It's not a training course by any means on any particular one software, but I will be demonstrating some major aspects of each of the things, and we'll go into that very soon. Yes, we provide training, so we can also help out with setting up and whatever, but we're in a good position because we're not pushing any one particular package. We've got our own. We use a couple of packages in-house just so we can get familiar with it, so we can train others. So you can ask me about that as well. Okay, so just very quickly, what are we covering? We're just going to be covering the two main issues. There are two big issues to think about when you are choosing an accounting software or package or service. So number one is the accessibility of the application, the program, whatever you want to call it, that you're using. The accessibility of that and the data, your data file. So is it going to be online, offline? Okay, we'll talk more about that later. Is it going to be in the cloud, or is it going to be installed on our systems, on our own computers? And then obviously number two is the features of the application, and we'll talk more about that when we get to it, about okay, what will it do? My business does this and does that. I need to do quotes or estimates, whatever it might be. Does the program have those features? Okay, I'll demonstrate, as I said, the main options, which is MYOB itself, the desktop and online versions. QuickBooks, same again, desktop and online. And I know some of you are interested in Xero out there, so we'll go through that as well. And thirdly, any final questions you might have, and so on. Now, there are lots of questions that people were asked to put in when they registered, when you registered for this, so I will be answering some of those, a lot of those, and we'll see those as we go. And I have got the major questions you all put in. I've actually answered those, and they're on the notes that you'll get, and you'll see those quickly this morning as well. Okay, so the questions some of you asked about was which accounting software is the best. Yep, that's okay. What's the best time to switch over from one to the next? That's a good one. So I've already answered that in the notes that you'll see, and we'll quickly, typically it's the start of a financial year, isn't it? That's the ideal time, or at least at the start of a reporting period, so a BAS reporting period, so the start of the quarter or the start of the month, depending on what you need to report and how. Are there better options? MYOB is crap now. That's a bit rough. Oh, gee, you know, I don't want to get personal, but are there better options? Well, there are good options out there, and we'll have a look at those. Why would I change what I'm using already? Very good question, and we'll talk about some of that as well. If it's doing the job, well, why change? So it depends on your needs. How easy is it to transfer old data? We'll look at some of that as well. And how secure is the cloud? That's the big thing, isn't it? Can we sleep at night knowing that all our beautiful hard-earned data and information's up there somewhere in the atmosphere? So yeah, we'll talk about that as well. Okay, just the usage side of it. We were asked to, or you were asked to quickly indicate what are you using at the moment. So 38% of you said MYOB, M-Y-O-B. 22% said other. Gee, I'd like to know what some of the others are. Other software packages. So this is in order. So 38% was the top one. 22%. No one's, or 19% is not using anything at the moment. So it's probably the shoebox method or the Excel spreadsheet method. So we really need to try and help those people with something at least, because you will save time. QuickBooks, which is now called Reckon. So we're talking about the desktop, the old QuickBooks program, that's 13%, and Xero, people are starting to use that. That's building up, the Xero side of it. Okay, so when we talk about the accessibility, this is the big issue number one. What's meant by accessibility? I want to go through these slides, if you like, these PowerPoint slidey things, just very quickly, because I want to get to the demonstrations of the different software. I've already got them loaded up, and we can get to them so you can have a look at it. So when we talk about accessibility, we're talking about the program that you are using, how accessible, or how do we get to that? Is it online or offline? Is it? Do I have to worry about versions, and what's the latest version? Do I need to get that? And that was one of your questions. Should I use the latest version, or am I okay with my 10-year-old version? Do I want to access it with my mobile devices, iPad and tablet and so on? And what's the cost of this program itself? Is it once-off or ongoing? Okay, so that's all about the accessibility, if it's in the cloud or not. It's not just the program that you've got to think about, it's also the data file. So how do I access my data file? Is that online or offline? Okay, so you can have the program still on your computer and the data file is up in the cloud there somewhere. And that's even more confusing for people. So we'll come back to that. Do I need multi-user access? Do I need 3 or 4 people in my office opening the file at the same time to do their bits? Okay, that's another issue to think about. Do I want to give access to my accountant so that they can do their tax year, end of year processing and help with the BAS and whatever? Typically at the moment, with a lot of desktop sort of installations, we've got to wait or send them the backup, and we can't do anything while they're playing around. So that's a big issue to think about. And what are the options? Okay, well, for backing up. Can we back up? Some of you asked about that. In a lot of cases, no, you can't. So we'll come back to that as well. All right, and then the features, people. This is the big second issue that you need to worry about, the features of the software. So I'll just go through this quickly. Everybody has sales from one point to another. As it invoices or cash receipts, do you need to produce quotes and estimates? Do you need to have a system where you approve the invoices that your bookkeeper has done or the temp staff has done? So you do want a system where, okay, I'm going to approve those as the manager, and then they can go through to the customer. With your purchases, bills, orders to suppliers, and so on. So we all get bills, but do you want to set up orders? Do you want to have an ordering system going to your suppliers for stock and so on? Again, do you want to have a system of confirmed or approved, whatever it might be? Banking, we all do banking. Do you need electronic payments, bank reconciliations, live feeds? I'll show you that very soon about live feeds as well. Multiple foreign currencies in the middle there. And very importantly too, with online sales and e-commerce, do I want this software, this accounting service, to integrate with my website sales and so on? So is that going to save me time? Do I need to manage stock on hand? So stock control, stock takes. Have I got? Do I need to manage my inventory on jobs and so on? Okay, do I have to, or do I want to manage jobs for particular customers and order the stock, have it flow through to the customer's invoice for that job? And the last point there about point of sale. Have I got a point of sale system? Have I got a front shop? Whatever it might be. So I'm just, again, going through these quickly. You'll need to have a look at all of these and have a think about it for your particular side of things. The other issues with features, payroll, timesheets. Do you want to run like timesheets? Have your employees log in and they can put in their own times per hour, per day, whatever it might be. You've got your pay runs and so on. Send off pay slips. Do you have state payroll tax? Another big issue to think about. Okay, job costing I mentioned. Do you want to quote jobs? Do you want to manage materials, manage employees out in the field or on the road doing those particular jobs? Will they have mobile devices? I mean, how big are you getting? Okay, so the scalability of all this as well. Well, someone might say, well, I might later on, Mark, I'm not sure. Okay, so you've got to think about that and look at the particular option that might be scalable, or can it be scalable, or do you need to start again because now you're doing job management on the road? The obvious reporting side of things, tracking different parts of your business. A lot of people ask about that. Departmental accounting, tracking the different trucks that I manage, tracking the different offices we might have for the one company, and the profitability of all those. Okay, and again, as I said before, do you want to give access to your accountant for processing at the same time? All right, and other things you might want to think about, electronic record keeping. Xero in particular now provides uploading of scanned bills and receipts, so that you can link the scanned bill or the scanned receipt to a particular transaction, payment and so on. So you don't need to worry about storing stuff in your filing cabinet. So I'll quickly show that if someone reminds me if I'm not doing it. Connecting to other systems, as I said, and backing up, that's a big issue, isn't it? Can we do backups? In a lot of cases you can't, as I said. Okay, just quickly on premises, program and the data. You've got your, just to give you a bit of a understanding of what's meant by if it's offline or online. Typically, we've all had our program installed on our computer. Okay, and we've got the program and the data. The program that we use is installed on our computers, and we're a standalone and so on. Okay, the next sort of level on premises, which means on your office or in your office, you would have a few people accessing your server. So you've got 2 or 3 or 5, whatever, computers with the program, P for program, installed on each computer, and that links to the data file which is on your server. Okay, so this is all in the office, and that's been the model, and people will still have that model in a lot of cases. Okay, and that server sits in your office, no one touches it where the D for data is sitting. Okay, that's what's meant by on premises. All right, with the cloud, if they've just got the data in the cloud, this time I've got my 3 computers in the office, and I've got the program installed. I must have that program installed on the computer, on each computer. Okay, and in MYOB, QuickBooks, and that's how they can run it. They have that particular option. All right, up the top here in the cloud there, up in the atmosphere, okay, someone, MYOB or QuickBooks, is handling your data for you. So your program opens up the file from the cloud up in the sky there, the atmosphere. Okay, and in this case you do have the option of having it either online or, oh no, the internet's down, I'm going to have it back on our system in the office, so you can do backups and so on. Okay, so the flexibility is good. That flexibility is there with this option, but again, you've got to have the program installed on each computer. Okay, if you go the whole hog, okay, to use a technical term, I like using lots of technical terms. You've got the program and the data in the cloud. So all you need in your office, or obviously on the road or somewhere, is just a computer with at least Windows or Macintosh on there, and the browser, internet browser. Up in the cloud, you've got the program itself, the program and the data is up there, hosted by the service or the company, and just your mobile device, which I haven't got a picture there of, that's all just accessing up in the cloud, the program and the data. Very similar to what you've been doing for years, what we've all been doing pretty much for years with electronic banking and so on. So the program for running the online banking is up in the cloud, hosted by your bank. The data's up there as well, and you can't do backups unless you download stuff, but more about that soon. Okay, very quickly, what does online mean? Online means, again, you've got the program and data in the cloud. So for example, MYOB Essentials, QuickBooks Online, okay, that's the actual now, the new QuickBooks company, and so on, and Reckon hosted on one, and also obviously Xero. So that's they're examples of the program and the data is in the cloud. You just need a browser or mobile device to get to it. Okay, but what about if I've got my program just on the computer and the data's in the cloud or on the computer? So MYOB Desktop gives you that option, so does Reckon, and basically that's it. Okay. The online pros and cons, we all know this potentially. Online, the pros are there's no software to install, no updates to worry about. What version do I have to get? Do I have to install the versions and so on? They do it for you. You can obviously access it from anywhere, mobile devices, and it can be cheaper. Yeah, just write that down, will you, everybody? It can be cheaper. It doesn't have to be, or necessarily. Depends on the service. The cons, obviously. Put your hand up if you know the answer. Internet needs to be on. Oh, funny that. When it's totally online, you obviously need to have the internet to be on, and that's a big issue for people out in the country and on farms and so on, obviously, regional areas. It needs to be fast, so you're not waiting as well. And you can't back up in a lot of cases. One of the questions was, can I back up my Xero data file? Well, in a short word, no, you can't. Okay, and we've got security privacy issues. All right, so all these things, again, I'm just quickly going through. A lot of you would know some of these pros and cons, but you know, it's a big issue to think about as to whether I go online or not. Okay, the main options, all of them, online, as I said, we've got online and desktop. You've got all totally online, Xero, QuickBooks, Reckon hosted or live, MYOB Essentials, and you've got the desktop versions, MYOB Account Right, and Reckon, which used to be called QuickBooks. Okay, and I'll be showing you some of that as well. Okay, so let's get into it. Let's have a look at some of these features. That's good. Features and demonstration. I like this. Okay, we're going to show you a demonstration now of the main things, and I like that one on the right there. You know, they just demonstrate about anything. I haven't got much time, so I'll go out and demonstrate anyway. Now, in no particular order of priority or preference, just going to show you some of the desktop stuff first, and a lot of you would be using these applications as well. So I'll just get to MYOB first, and I've just got the Clearwater up here. And all I want to do, just quickly, you can ask me some questions as we go about all of this specific questions about the specific application. So MYOB, as you probably all know, for nearly 40% of you are using MYOB at the moment. Very clean interface, banking, sales, purchases. This is the plus version, so I've got time billing and I've got payroll as well. And all we've got to do is go sales and enter sales, for example, to do an invoice. And as I keep saying to people in the classes that we run, all you've got to do is open the screen and fill it in, and then hit record. So we hit record, and away we go, without needing to do a particular actual example. Okay, so we've got the old version. Someone asked about the old version of MYOB. Is it? Do I need to go through and use that? Well, it depends on what you're doing, but I'll talk about a very important time-saving feature with the latest versions of MYOB and QuickBooks as well in a sec. Okay, all of the desktop versions here. We've got accounts list. MYOB's not too bad in that it nicely divides up your chart of accounts into the different categories. Okay, nice and clean with the tabs across the top here. Okay, they all don't do that. All right, and I can easily set this up and so on. Just hit the escape key to come out. All of the applications, in particular MYOB, have the ability to go file and import. So if I wanted to change from a particular system, or if I want to import sales, someone asked that about during the registration about can we import sales off a spreadsheet. I just do my spreadsheet sales, which come out of another system. So if I click on import and export assistant, click import, and we just go next, bottom right here, I can say, well, I actually want to import my sales. Okay, sales, and as you all might know, you've got service and item sales in MYOB. Okay, and then I go browse to the particular file, and the spreadsheet has to be in the right format, obviously. So if you have a system where you're doing up sales on a spreadsheet, or you have another system, might be a point of sale or hotel type front office system, it does the invoicing for you. You can export out of that and import in your sales as well as other things here. Okay, transactions, tax code, accounts, and so on. So all of them can do some sort of importing. So it's a little bit easier to transfer from one to the next without having to type all that up again as well. Okay, type up all the old customers and the old suppliers and so on. All right, edit and so on. As most of you would know, we don't use the menus across the top here very often. We just use the nice clean interface, the command centers through here, purchases and whatever it might be. Okay, so that's one big difference, if you like, between something like MYOB and QuickBooks, in that MYOB is a nice, has just a command center type of setup, and sales, time billing, whatever it might be, and you go through to the actual commands there afterwards. Okay. In the systems here, we've got, if I go back to accounts, this is the Clearwater file, so I can just do a simulation of something. If I go to banking here, I can go to bank feeds. All right, so they all now allow you to download or import live automatically into your software, whether it's the desktop or the online version. If I go bank feeds, this will show up the live bank feeds, or simulated here, but it's a similar, very common way of showing live bank feeds into the program. So down the left hand side here, I've got the bank statement. This is the actual live feed from my bank. Okay, and these are the entries for the payments and receipts and so on. And on the right hand side, typically you have the actual data file transactions if you've added those. Okay, and what it's done here, we can see up the top, it's actually matched automatically a result or a transaction because the amount, and also related to the date, it's matched a transaction I've already put in. Okay, so that transaction there, Chelsea Mossett, whatever it is, has already been put in. Okay, and the the bank has already matched that up. So I can just go approve to tick that. I'll just click on that, and that's reconciled that particular transaction. Okay, so what I'm doing here is sort of a combination of entering transactions or matching them, but also reconciling as I go. Underneath here we've got a bank rule applied. So in this particular example, bank fees, electricity, I haven't entered any transactions at all. I didn't enter the bank fees or the electricity payment automatically, or sorry, manually, but we set up a rule that said, okay, if the bank transaction has bank fee in it or some word in it like electricity, then create a transaction for me in MYOB, and I can go tick, that is approved. Okay, so just clicked on that, and it's ticked as if you're reconciling in the old way. Okay, so MYOB in particular, and I'll show you QuickBooks as well in a minute, they now allow you to enter the transaction, saving you time from having to manually do it. They enter the transaction for you, but also allow you to tick and approve it. Okay, again, another one here that it's automatically matched. So that $199, whatever, that was manually entered, but it's already matched it, so I don't have to go tick and find it and then tick my paper-based bank statement. Approve, approve. Okay, if it wasn't, I said, oops, I made a mistake. I hit the X button here and clear that out and put a proper transaction in. So you've got a fair bit of flexibility. Again, there's another rule at the bottom there. All right. If you can't, if it didn't match it, you could always go new, put a spend money, pay bill, and so on, and then reconcile it automatically, or try and find something, find a transaction based on the amount, and so on. But the rules are very powerful, and they pretty much all do that now. Okay, let's get to, I'll just show you QuickBooks. So I'll go back to close here, just hit the close button. So keep in mind that the main screen here, banking, sales, the command centers are there. In MYOB, here's QuickBooks now called Reckon Accounts because of the buyout and the merger and whatever it was called. Okay, Reckon, or formerly QuickBooks, it does say QuickBooks in here somewhere as well. So you still uses the word QuickBooks. You can see on the far right, customize QuickBooks, all right, even though they had to change the name. So now in QuickBooks or Reckon, you can see a lot more buttons, a lot more things, but pretty much the same sort of thing. I just go customers on the left here, and I go into my customer area. There's a lot more information that you can see very quickly, and hit the escape key to come back out. So all I've got to do is go to the particular center, or for customers or suppliers. So the same thing down the left hand side. I've got suppliers here, all my suppliers, and I can click through and see a summary on the right hand side of the bills that have come in. Transactions here, I can look at all my bills on the right hand side, and you can sort all this and find things, and there's a lot of bills there from James Glass and Aluminium, crikey, doing a fair bit of work. All right, and so on. Hit the escape key to come back out. If we go to customers and invoices, so invoices here, similar to MYOB, you just fill in the bits and away you go. Fairly flexible in the way you create your invoices, email them off, and so on. They can all do that. All the features are fairly similar across the board. Hit the escape key to come out. I don't need to do that. Just quickly go back to MYOB. Just up here it's got lists and recurring transactions. Some of you would know about that, where you have, I like to call them templates. So to speed up my sales and purchases and checks and so on, I want to look at just using templates. I can call up the template for that particular sale or purchase and just change the figures, and it's a lot quicker to put those in. As you might know, MYOB has a similar thing. It's QuickBooks. Now don't get them mixed up, all right? As you might know, Reckon has a similar thing. It's got lists and memorized transactions. So instead of recurring transactions, they call it memorized, or templates again. So I can go into my invoices here and create an invoice for somebody and say, well, look, gee, they come in a fair bit and buy these things. Okay, let's, instead of manually creating the sale, let's go edit and memorize this tax invoice for next time for this particular customer. Okay, so it's not the old one coming back, it's a template based on this basic sale. And I can do this for anything. I can do this for a bill or a spend money, purchase, bank fee, whatever it might be. And that saves you lots of time. Hit the escape key, come out. I don't need to record that. Okay, and in Reckon QuickBooks, online banking at the top here. So in the similar way, online banking. Now, unfortunately, even the sample company doesn't give us a dummy look at how it feeds in, but it's very similar. Nice and summarized, nice and neat here in Reckon, because you've got the accounts at the top here that you've configured. You might have a couple of bank accounts or check accounts. Okay, this is from the bank, so this will be the live feed coming in from the bank, or if you've manually imported your bank statement, so that would sit there, and at the bottom it says to the bank. So I'm going to do my electronic payments to my suppliers, creditors, my employees as well, and we've already done some payments ready to be processed to create the ABA file. So hopefully all of you at least know about the ABA files that you can create from MYOB and QuickBooks and all the others. And Reckon or QuickBooks is nice in that I haven't seen any other service or software do this, where you can preview the file that you're going to create and upload to the bank. So I click on preview. So this is what's going to be uploaded to the bank automatically, and I just wanted to have a look at it. So you can see it's got all the usual BSB, branch code, account number, and the amounts, and you can scroll down. You can't edit this, you can link to where the information is, but this is just a preview of all that, and we can say, yep, that's okay, and I'll go back, escape out of it, and I can create the ABA file, bottom right here. Create the ABA file, select or look at previous ones. Okay, go online up here means to let's go and get the bank feed or import it, whatever it might be. Okay, so we can do all those sort of things with Reckon, QuickBooks. MYOB does the same sort of thing in a slightly different way. Okay, and I'll just hit the X to come out of there, back to the main screen. All right, a similar thing to MYOB again, file and go to, file, utilities, and import. I can import Excel files, I can export out. Okay, so again, if I've got my customers or my suppliers or even some sales data in another format, I can import them into my QuickBooks Reckon if I'm going to start up with this new option, and I don't have to start all over again as well. Okay, with the desktop versions you can send now an accountant's copy of the data file, so you're not waiting around while they do something, and you can't do your invoicing. So I can say, right, let's make an accountant's copy of my Reckon QuickBooks data file, and they can do their processing and adjustments, and I can do my invoicing in the meantime. And when I get it back, you can see input underneath or cancel. I didn't like what the accountant did, I'll just cancel it. So I can import their changes, and we can synchronize both files into the one, and that helps me not lose any time. So at least they've fixed up that sort of issue. Back to MYOB again, accounts here, and send to the accountant, same sort of thing. I can send out to your accountant, and they can the accountant can do their processing, and in the meantime you can do your sales and ongoing stuff. Okay, accountant link, receive from the accountant, list of accounts, and so on. All right, so that's where we bring it back in. Okay, people. Now let's no other quick questions there as well. They're the two main options for your desktop versions. Now, when we go to if I MYOB, if I go open here, file open, you'll see hopefully the option of saying my library, which is on my desktop, so, or my server in the office here, so our own server, the library where our data files are stored, or online. So as I mentioned before, MYOB gives you the option of having your program installed on your computers, in each computer in the office, but your data file is up in the cloud there somewhere. It's hosted by MYOB with your login and so on. So that's where we can go online, and we can change back and forth more or less quite easily. Okay, so samples and Clearwater. Oh, by the way, basics. Now, one thing I won't be having a lot of time to spend on is the different flavors of each of these. So MYOB has different sort of flavors. If you get the latest version, you might only want the plain hamburger and not the hamburger with a lot. Okay, so I was showing you before the payroll version, the full-blown payroll version with everything, job costing and so on, but now I've got basically business basics going. So if you don't need full payroll and full stock control, you're just a basic sort of cash business with a few invoices, well then you can spend less money and just use the basic version. QuickBooks Reckon has the same sort of thing. I've got a list of all the different flavors in the notes I can send back. Just quickly, bottom right of MYOB and QuickBooks is the same. Local means I'm on my desktop or server opening up my file. bottom right here. So if I go to the drop down, I can go to Account Live and upload it to change back and forth. Okay, just to give me that option. Okay, people, let's go to Xero. I'll have a quick look at Xero and also the other online things. So I've already got it loaded up here. And if you haven't seen Xero before, we can have a look at just quickly how it all looks. This is obviously just the demo company. And this is the home screen. As soon as you open up your company file in Xero, you get this is the home screen, or dashboard as they call it. Dashboard, and you can see your bank accounts and business bank accounts down the left here, our different accounts that we're monitoring. So we've ticked particular accounts that we want to look at just to keep an eye on the expenses and the sales and so on. And further down I've got other things too, and you can't get much simpler than money coming in or money going out. Okay, now don't get them mixed up. Money coming in, money going out, relating to your sales and purchases, obviously. So straight away I can click Add a Sales Invoice, and it comes up with the screen. Then you just fill them in. Okay, you type in a few letters of the particular customer, so B for Bayside or whatever, BA, and all the things come up, Bayside Club, and away you go. Filling in your particular, that's not going to the bank, is it? I'm not going to send an invoice to my bank, unfortunately. Okay, so you can see here it looks pretty much like most other options with the invoicing and so on. Okay, and now I mentioned before about approving and unapproving. Do you want a system where your bookkeeper can only create unapproved or unconfirmed orders or sales or bills? So MYOB and Xero and Recon Online, and MYOB has got it on, I think, online. There is a way to tweak it with the desktop versions, but you've got the ability to say approve this immediately, or over here just save it as a draft or save it and submit it for approval. So then the manager comes in and says, right, that's approved, let's send that off. Okay, so you've got that flexibility. You can set that up. Let's just go cancel here. Okay, I'm an advisor for my particular business here, so the advisor would be your accountant, for example. So when your accountant logs in, they can get immediate access to your data file and do their journal entries, do management reporting, annual SPF, the special purpose financial reports, do exporting as well, notes and so on. Okay, if I go to any particular sales, and I can just go into sales invoicing here and say import. So again, all of these applications, the services can import your data and so on. If I go to contacts and look at all contacts, so there's my contacts, and the usual thing, I've got customers and suppliers and contractors, and you can actually group them as well. It's loading up all my contacts there, and import. Okay, I can import particular contacts because I've got them in some other system. I don't need to create them all again, manually typing them all up, so they can all look at that as well. Okay, just quickly, if I go back to the dashboard here, as I mentioned before, live bank feeds. So it says reconcile here. So I'll click on, I'm going to reconcile day by day or week by week, and it comes up here, the green bits indicate help. I'll just get rid of that. And as you can see, it looks very similar to what MYOB could produce and what QuickBooks Recon can do. And down the left-hand side, again, this is my bank statement that has come in as a live feed, and typically that happens each night. Okay, overnight it refreshes and gets your bank feed coming in. You've got to apply for that, obviously, and fill in forms and whatever. It can take a few days to set it up, but once it's set up, it's all done. So again, in the same way, bank feeds down the left-hand side. On the right-hand side are my transactions in Xero. Okay, so in the same sort of way, this payment, whatever it is, for over $6,000, I've already entered that. I've manually entered that previously, but Xero has matched it from the bank feed. So I say, yep, that's okay. So I click OK to reconcile it. I do my bank reconciliations as I go. Next one, yep, that's okay. And a nice little thing, it just actually disappears. Okay, Xero's got a nice little feature here where if you're not too sure about a bank feed transaction, you can see it here on the left, $100, and we've put in a note saying, oh, I don't know what to do here. How do I put this in? Okay, and that's a message for your accountant or your bookkeeper. So they all have these standard tabs of match, create, transfer as well. Okay, so if I wanted to create a transaction, I can go create, and from that $100, I know it's for city limousines, payment, whatever it is, or received in this case, and I can create the transaction again, create the transaction from scratch and reconcile at the same time. So you're doing your cash sort of bookkeeping and also payments, receipts, bill payments as well. Okay, further down, much like MYOB on the desktop, we've got these rules. So again, they can all do this. We can say, look, if it's got the 7-Eleven in the transaction, for example, so that's the supplier. Okay, 7-Eleven, create a rule called, or create a transaction automatically called whatever it is, and put the amount in there, and away we go. We can view the details for this transaction. So I can click View Details just to double check. And it's because I've set the rule up already, it's going to code that automatically, that amount for whatever it is, to the particular account, and GST is already set up, and I'm just checking it here. I don't need to do this to go in. Click Cancel. Alright, so I know that that's okay, and up the top, find and match, it's lost it now, apply a rule, okay, it's all done. And click OK, OK, OK. Alright, so how do we create a rule? Well, you'll have to give me a buzz or whatever. Alright, similar sort of thing to the other programs again. Just quickly, I just got reminded that if I go to, and this happens in a lot of the issues now, or options you've got, if I go back to sales or purchases, okay, I'll go to purchases, and I'm going to put in a brand new bill, the electricity bill, whatever it might be. So from the electricity bill and the usual things you can throw in, typically you'll get an icon here, and this is where I can go click and upload the scanned bill. Or if they've emailed the bill to me as a PDF, I can upload or connect it to the bill itself. Alright, so when I record this bill, I can go back to it, and it'll have a little electronic record keeping device for me. So I can say, oh yeah, let's have a look at the bill, and I can look at that, and apparently that's all approved and accepted by the tax department to do electronic booking keeping that way. Alright, just go cancel on that. Okay, so this is how, as I said, and obviously this is how Xero looks. General settings, you can go into the chart of accounts, and in the same sort of way as MYOB and so on, QuickBooks, we've got assets, liabilities. You can set up your chart of accounts quite easily with opening balances and so on. And again, I can import export. So we can import export the files in, or the information from other services or other packages that might have been used before, to do the one-off setup and so on. It's a lot easier to set that up. Here's MYOB Online, again a similar thing. Dashboard, sales, they've just released this, so it's or the last few months I think. Dashboard, very similar to Xero, money in, money out, banking. Okay, and I can probably hear some of you thinking, oh no, now it's going to make it harder. They all look the same, they all do the same sort of thing. How do I pick which one I want? Okay, so I just might say something about that very soon as well. Sales and invoices. So if I click invoices, same sort of thing. I want a brand new invoice, create invoice, and away we go. Select the customer and so on. Okay, expenses. Let's do an expense. Let's do items. Okay, now just in case I forget to mention it later, most of these packages with the base product don't have stock on hand management. So if I create an item, and I'm doing this in MYOB Online, Xero's the same at the moment. If I create an item, I can only sell it and buy it. Okay, I can't track how much I've got on hand as well, how much I've got in the warehouse or stock on hand, do a stock take and so on. Okay, if you need to do that, you'll need to look at add-ons for all of these options. So that's one of the options, or one of the issues I mentioned earlier about managing stock. Is that what you want to do? Okay. MYOB Essentials here, again, contacts, payroll, reports, without going through it again. If I go to My Business up the top here, okay, so setting it all up, again, I can go import, export data. Okay, so again, allows me to import and export information as a once-off to set it up properly. Okay, so you can see, similar thing, dashboard. I mean, you've got to have sales and expenses, and how else would you present it? Banking, bank transactions, bank reconciliation, bank rules or manage rules, so it's got the same sort of thing, similar thing. Bank feeds as well, and it's using its own previous terminology: spend money, receive money. Okay, but again, as I keep saying, well, get onto MYOB Essentials if that's what you want, with online access and so on. Okay, QuickBooks up the top here. This is QuickBooks Online. Now the actual, I'll just go to the tab here. The actual QuickBooks itself now, the proper company called QuickBooks, they only have it online. So the previous one I was showing you before, which is this is now called Reckon Accounts, formerly called QuickBooks, and they have the option of having your data up in the atmosphere, or the program on your computer and the data on your computer as well. So this is the old QuickBooks we're looking at now. QuickBooks, or Intuit, is now Reckon Online, has got its own little online version, but it's just been released. I haven't had a real close look at it. I'll just go back to so the actual QuickBooks now. Again, similar thing. There's home down the left-hand side, and this is all online. You can't back up. You can't have your program installed on your computer or laptop, whatever it might be. It's got to be through the browser. So I'm using Internet Explorer or Chrome, whatever you want to use. Pretty much Macintosh as well. Down the left-hand side, banking, sales, and through the beauty of live television, it's taking a bit of time, isn't it? But anyway, banking, credit cards, and so on. Okay, similar sort of thing. If I go back to customers, I can say, okay, let's do it's got a few extra colours. There's Rubble again, Rubble Enterprises. And a nice little thing is there's always a plus sign everywhere at the top here. So plus, I want to add or create a new invoice, expense, receive a payment, bill. Nicely summarised here. Go invoice, and the usual things come up. Okay, you can get online payments from here and so on. So again, choose a customer, Rubble Enterprises, whatever it might be, and away I go with setting up the invoice. Just close that down and come out. Do you want to leave? Yes, I do. All right, and as I said before, importing in QuickBooks here, QuickBooks Online, we go to Mark's Company, top right-hand corner, and this is where I set up my company settings chart of accounts. I'll just have a quick look at that. And again, similar thing, very similar to what QuickBooks did before itself. It doesn't have the tabs or the nice dividing sort of areas or groupings. But again, it's got the usual things down here grouped this way in the columns. Okay, if I need to import, I can go Mark's Company and just go to import data here, import desktop data, export, and so on. So again, you can import your old customers, import sales, import your chart of accounts from the old systems. Okay, and typical thing, I'm on my iPad now, I'm on the road now, and I want to do an invoice. I'm just going to go into the Xero app. Okay, that's a bit more better. Okay, you can see down the bottom, invoices. I just go invoice. I'm going to create a quick invoice, top right hand corner. Okay, so I could be on the road doing this, and this is one of the big issues, people, that you need to think about. Have I got, it's Mitchell College I'm doing an invoice for. I'm just going to do this very quickly. Have I got a team on the road, and so on. So what am I selling? I'm selling some golf balls. Okay, not that we sell golf balls here at Class Training, but anyway, and they're pretty expensive golf balls. They're about $5,000. Okay, and I can hit done. And from here I could say, let's share it. Top right hand corner, you've got share the thing. So share it, I can approve and send, or approve it, or save it as a draft, or whatever it might be. So I can email it from here while I'm standing there at the customer's office. Okay, and you can see it here. Okay, just Mitchell River Lodge, $5,500. Okay, so if I just exit out of that, I'll just shut that down because it's taking up too much bits and pieces. Go back to Xero here, and I'll just refresh everything, and hopefully in the blink of an eye, through the marvels of live television and whatever it might be, I'll just go back to the dashboard. There's no place like home, so go to the dashboard. We'll just go to sales here, and hopefully Mitchell College awaiting payment there, and there it is, Mitchell River Lodge. I just did that today, 9th of, there it is, $5,500. Invoice number, I didn't check it, 1041. So click that. Nothing up the sleeve, people. I actually just did that then through the iPad. So, and then we can add the payment there, as you can see, to the bottom. Add payment, it's paid to the particular account, and so on. So the person in the office could now email this or whatever it might be. It's all updated and it's all live through the cloud, as we keep saying. Okay. All right, no other quick queries there. Some of those questions coming through. Another question here from, who was it, Sue there. Sue, what are the issues with online, offline, with cloud data only? Is it only just the backup that either is active or not? There is any missing actions or data loss if you're not working online? That's right, Sue. With the particular options, with the online options, I'll just go back to our PowerPoint thingy to sort of look at some other issues. So yeah, if you've got fully online through MYOB Essentials or QuickBooks Online or Xero, at the moment there's no way to go file backup. So you've got to think to yourself, can I sleep at night? Can I sleep at night knowing that it's not backed up? But I mean, the usual argument is, what about your live banking data through your NAB or through CBA or whatever? When you do your online banking, I'm not backing that up either. Okay, I've just got trust in the bank to do the backup. So you've really got to think about ways around that, and is that going to be a big issue for you? Okay, and obviously if you've got an online solution like Xero, if the internet's down, well, that's it. You can't do anything, basically. All right. Okay, people. Now, just I'm not going to go through all this, but what I've done, and these are in the notes. MYOB Reckon, this is online and desktop. What I've done is just quickly go through and indicate very broadly, and in some cases very specifically, what MYOB and Reckon at the top here, what they can do and what they can't do. So if they're just talking about MYOB and Reckon here, so that's MYOB and the old QuickBooks and the online version and the desktop version. Okay, pretty much the same as to what it can do, what it can't do. So online means the data's up in the cloud and the program's on your computer. What it can do, what it can't do is a lot of the things there, asset management and so on. So I won't go through these details now. You can have a look at these and tick them off as you go if you're thinking about which one to go for. So what it can do, what it can't do, and this will be in the notes that I can send through to you again. So just want to have time to go through a lot of options here. Okay, MYOB Essentials, they're just totally online. So this is Reckon 1 and MYOB Essentials. Again, what it can do, what it can't do. Let's go to, this is QuickBooks Online, I just showed you. So the new QuickBooks company online, that's all they've got. They don't have a desktop version. Okay, don't forget this one back here. That's the old QuickBooks. That's now called Reckon Accounts. Okay, and that's even confusing, isn't it? So back to where we were. All right, so you can check that out as well. Xero, everybody wants to look at this, I presume, because a lot of people I know are looking at Xero and what it can do, what it can't do down the left-hand side. Again, there it is here. That's the important sort of thing. Only available online. There's no desktop version at all. So if you wanted to do backups, then you can't back up data. They are looking at it though, in the development phase of looking at some way to back up data so you can sleep at night. At the moment, you can download hard reports that don't change, so that's a way to download or get some sort of offline backup or copy of your data just by downloading reports as PDFs out of Xero. But that's not the same. If the internet's down, then you can't do your processing. Okay. Coming through here. Now I've got this in your books as well. Someone asked about the pricing structures, so not going through this here in too much detail, but you can look at it. There's $70 a month, for example. That's the MYOB desktop version, so you've got your program installed on your computer and you've got the option of having just the data file up in the cloud or on your desktops. Okay, there's MYOB Essentials I showed you. Oh, whoops, I missed. MYOB Essentials, $29 a month, and so on. You've got the other pricing there as well. Okay, and Macintosh on the far right there. Okay, So that's just emphasizing or highlighting those for MYOB. With Reckon, same sort of thing. You've got Reckon Desktop. I've got the pricing there. Reckon Hosting. You can come back. There's Reckon Hosting. That means having, again, your program on the computer and data in the data file or in the cloud, I should say, or having it hosted. That's another way of looking at it, like a remote access way of getting to your information. Also, yep, another 5-10 minutes to go. Reckon One, that's the new QuickBooks and its sort of online version. Didn't show you that, but again, you can see $3, $5 a month, depending on the modules you need. Okay, so it starts off at $5 a month, and some of these are very cheap. Xero has a cash basis module as well, or cash basis version, and that's about $10 a month, whatever it might be. So very price efficient, no invoicing and so on. So again, you need to do a bit of investigating, or you can ask me. There's QuickBooks itself. Okay, this is the QuickBooks Online. Getting confusing, isn't it? Again, depends on what you want. Up to $13, $14 a month. Okay, that was the current sale until the 30th of June. I think it's double that now. So bad luck if you missed out. It's past the 30th of June. Again, this is all in the notes. That's the more realistic pricing. Okay, not too bad. $21 a month. Xero is about $60. We'll come into Xero. There it is there. So it's pricing, premium, and so on. You've got to be careful too, though, with the different pricing. That yes, you do get invoicing, but you can only do 5 a month. Okay, so check that with all of the, well, that's the employees, but check that with all of the issues or all of the options. In the $25 a month for Xero, you can only do 5 invoices a month. Okay, but you can easily scale up to the next one if you needed to. So don't think, oh, that's cheap. You might only get a lower number of features. Okay, now again, the old way of, if I've got all my desktop, bottom left-hand corner there, my desktop version of using MYOB or QuickBooks or whatever, you've got to do this and that. This is the old way. You've got to send the file to the accountant, and they've got to muck around with it as well. With the totally online, the accountant can just log on to your Xero or log on to your MYOB online, Live Essentials or QuickBooks Online, and do their processing, compile reports, and so on. And you can both, it's all live and up to date. Okay, it certainly will happen. Most of us will almost be forced into it because of the pricing or because the old software is not being supported. And someone asked me that as well. What about my old version 19 MYOB? Is that going to be supported? Well, in a way, no. You won't get your tax tables if you're using payroll for that. Okay, but I've got some notes in the notes to hand out on that as well, on the old versions of things. And you're done. Okay. So very quickly, people, sort of winding up, another 5-10 minutes just at the most, just a summary of what to think about. So you've got to put your thinking cap on, bottom left, and also join the dots. Okay, some very relevant graphics there just to grab your attention again. So answers to your particular questions. Now, I'm not going to go through this. These are one of the questions that, or I've picked out those questions that you were put into the registration. So I've got the answers here, okay, and again, I won't have time to go through this now, but is MYOB planning to discontinue BankLink, for example? I think so, because they've purchased it and they're going to incorporate BankLink into MYOB itself. Okay, so I've got about 4 pages of these. The questions that were put into the registration side of it, so I've got the answers there, and I'll just quickly go through here. You can look at this on the video or get the notes. Okay, only if you fill in the online survey at the end. Okay, is MYOB catching up to Xero? So I've answered those for you. Now finally, questions for you to consider. This is a bit of a summary of the main issues. Okay, does it have the features I need? Obviously. And what we've got to do, what you've got to do is try and just map out in a big brainstorm all of the things you want. Do you want sales, quoting, estimates, stock on hand, count inventory, stock takes, bills, live bank feeds, and so on? That's the first thing, to try and list as much as you can. Okay, now it's hard to do that, and you don't know what your business might be doing in a few years' time. So the next point is it suitable or can it be scaled up? Okay, gee, Fred, you didn't tell me you wanted to do stock take. We'll have to start again. So think about down the track or even if you can't, look at something that can be scaled up and added on to with add-ons and so on. All right, so I haven't mentioned add-ons as yet, but we'll talk about that's in the notes as well. Add-ons that can be add-on to your other application. Do you want to access your data from anywhere? So I'm on the road, and like I showed you with the iPad or the tablet or the iPhone or whatever, I want to be able to do invoices on the road, so I don't have to do it when I come back, manually enter it again. And the customers are pretty impressed when you can do it there and then. What does the cost provide you with? Okay, it could be hidden costs. Gee, you didn't tell me you wanted to do 10 invoices a month. I'll have to charge you double now. So look at the hidden costs, or what you actually get for that particular pricing per month, or the once-off even. I mean, with all this pricing, you can buy MYOB, you can buy Reckon as a once-off, $400, whatever it is, and you install it and that's it. If you want to get the next update, you've got to pay a little bit more as well, start up again. So it depends on how you want to run it. Okay, is it or can it be made compatible with my other systems? Okay, so if you've got a customer database, a CRM, customer relationship management system, or you've got sales coming from your website, can we have that all integrated with the accounting side of it? Okay, or does it matter to you? Okay, is it relevant? I don't have a website, Mark, and I'm not selling, so it's not compatible or it's not relevant. So again, that's the issue you've got to think about. And does my accountant know it? I know a lot of accountants will recommend things because they're familiar with it, or whatever it might be. And it's a bit like driving a Holden or a Ford. Some people are only Holden people. Never buy anything else. They're just brought up with that. It's just the way it feels and the way it looks. And that's the other big thing to think about. How does it feel? How does the look of the screen feel to you? Is it intuitive? Is it obvious as to where to go to do a sale and do a bill and so on? What training support can I get? That's very important as well. Okay. All right, so just quickly, I know we'll get to the boring stage, but class training can provide all these things, or you can go somewhere else, get some general advice, what's best to use. You might need assistance in setting up an accounting file. These are all the other things to think about from the support point of view. Customizing the software for your needs. I need some training. Where can I go for that? Obviously, class training can do that. We can arrange bookkeeping services as well. A lot of people come along to training courses just to know or be aware of what you can do, and then they tell the bookkeeper to do it. Okay, so it's an awareness thing as well, understanding what you can do. And what other support have I got? If I've got a question or a problem, who can I ring up or get emailed answers to? Okay. All right. By the way, I won't be going through all this, but as you might know out there, we provide training and setting up and consulting in setting up, daily processing, payroll, and even advanced stuff. So have a think about that. We can help out as to where to go to get the software, or we can even sit with you for half an hour or so, no obligation, and just demonstrate the things a bit better. Okay. All right, people, as I said, just a very quick overview. Thanks for your time. Mark Mannering signing off. If you need any other help or assistance, give us a buzz. But I'll just shut down now and go and have a coffee, and all the best with it. We'll keep in touch. Thanks again. Bye.